Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here from the Kayak Fishing Show. This week on Kayak Fishing Tales, we're going to bring you another episode of the Kayak Fishing Show live from Facebook. This week we've got our good friends John Hipsher and Luther Cyphers from Yakattack. They're going to talk about the history of the company as well as some of the cool new gear that they have coming out. Stick around, you're going to learn a lot from this one. Sammons here from the Kayak Fishing Show live. Thank you all for joining us as always. Kayak Fishing Show live brought to you by Ballast Point Brewing Company. Today we're going with Sea Rose. Nice and light and drinkable and very tasty. Very good beer on a warmer day. I love Ballast Point. So, again, I appreciate everybody joining us as always. As far as what's going on with us, hey, I hope you all guys all had a chance to watch our episode last night. It was kind of I wouldn't say it was a best of because it's only been over the last couple of years, and we've always been shooting for about 12 years. But I thought it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. It had some really cool stuff on there. Some highlights from, Puerto Rico, New Zealand, a trip with my daughter down in Baja to Cedros Island. So really fun stuff. And so, we had a great time. For you guys that don't get WFN, and I hope if you guys get WFN, you're watching us on WFN. For you guys that don't get WFN, of course, we run a few episodes on the Sportsman's channel. One ran this morning, and then that same episode will be on tomorrow, Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and that'll be our fishing for tuna in Louisiana with our good buddy Jameson Redding. So if you want to see an episode of the show, you've got that available there. So Melissa, thanks for joining us. Martin, hey man, yeah, of course it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's afternoon, right? I'm good with that. Particularly when it's good beer. So we actually started doing these live videos several months ago now, and I'm really enjoying doing it. And the very first one we had scheduled was with my good friends from Yakattack. And due to some technical issues, we weren't able to actually do what I wanted to do. And that's when I started using this other software, which allows me to bring in guests and all that. And I think it makes for a much better product. So because of that first episode, we ended up having to just kind of wing it. I decided that, I wanted to bring these guys back, and John Hipsher and Luther Cyphers from Yakattack. I've known these guys for years and years. Luther has shot with us several times. I mean, I love these guys, and they are certainly the innovators in this industry when it comes to kayak fishing accessories. They have from the beginning. So if you have questions for these guys, by all means, shoot it at them. If you have ideas for products, I know they love to hear that stuff. So, almost ripped my earphones out. So let's say hi to a couple people. Hey, Matt from New Zealand. Yeah, we had a New Zealand on. Like I said, part of our New Zealand episode was on there last night. So thanks for joining us. Michael, how you doing? Yes, Yakattack rocks. There was another one here. I guess that's clapping. Sometimes, we miss something on the translation. Zach, hello, Jim, tuned in for another good show. Yakattack rocks. These guys are just respected all through this industry. So, like I said, they've been making great products for a long time. And, as we always say, they are innovators. They're making cool stuff. So, Chris Fowler, love my new Yakattack Omega rod holder. Yeah, me too. I've been using them quite a bit lately on the show and on our last shoot. So great stuff. And we got Kieran from New Zealand as well. Man, we got people from all over the world, and that's why I love doing this. So with no further ado, these guys are actually going to be sharing the camera. So I'm going to bring them up, and 3, 2, 1, boom. Hey, John. Hey, Luther. How you guys doing?
What's up, Jim? What's going on, man? I'm good.
Man, you like to cut it close, don't you, Luther? Luther literally just walked into the camera like just before I hit the button. So I'm so glad you guys could be us. I know, Luther, you're always super, super busy, and I hear you're leaving on vacation like tomorrow or something.
Pretty soon, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. You deserve it, man. It sounds like it's going to be a good time, too, just getting away from everything.
Yeah, we're going to disconnect for a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Disconnect from this and reconnect with your family, and that's so important. So I just want to start out for anybody who, this is probably a stupid thing to say, but for anybody who doesn't know Yakattack, doesn't know you guys, give us a little background, Luther. Where did this all start?
It started back in 2009. Kind of kayak anglers in the hobby, so to speak. Made a couple of products that kind of, caught on with the people we were fishing with. So, we started making stuff, made a little bit of money and reinvested it, made some more stuff, made a little bit of money, reinvested it, made some more stuff. So we did that for a number of years. And then around 2012-ish, we started hiring employees, got to the point that, it was more than we could handle in the garage. And it's just kind of snowballed since then. We're 40-something employees here now, I think. A couple hundred products or more, maybe. It's grown a lot, but it's fun. I mean, we're problem solvers, so that's what we enjoy doing, is finding problems to solve, and then how good of a job we can do solving them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of products out there, and what I've always seen with you guys, it's like you said, solving a problem, making something better, making something that works. And I think that shows that you guys are actually doing it. You're doing this sport. You're not just somebody coming up with it, trying to solve a problem, but it's not a piece of equipment you actually use.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think you can make some customers happy if you get 80% of the way, but that thing that completes the experience, that completes the consumer experience, just makes sense. My favorite thing to hear people say is, man, why didn't somebody else already think of that? And on one hand, you might say, well, that means that it must have been so obvious that it's not a great design. But on the other hand, what it means is it struck a nerve with that customer. It struck a chord out on the water, or, whatever they're using it for. And that's what we try to do. We want to keep it really as simple as possible, as few pieces as possible, but just working exactly the way you want it to work.
Yeah, and I know from working with like Wes Siegler at Siegler Reels, that's his philosophy too, is making it simpler. But making it simpler is sometimes a lot more difficult to figure out.
Oh, there's no doubt, Jim. I mean, I spent in the automotive industry, I spent about 12 years, and most of that time was designing machines. And one thing that I learned is it's easy to make a contraption. You just keep band-aiding stuff on there until it works, and you end up with something that somebody walking up to it, it might seem really complicated. It must have taken a lot of, energy and effort and everything and brain power to design it. But the reality is, it's just simple things with one simple motion that does three different things and does it perfectly every time that are much more difficult to come across. If you look at the lock and load mounting system, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about here, that was something, solving that motion took us months and months. And even when we thought we had something at ICAST, we came back, we still weren't happy with it. We scrapped all that and we continued and kind of started over. And I remember a couple of times the designer that was working on this would come to me with the solution, but it had 6 pieces. And I was like, that's too many pieces. He's like, man, come on, what do you want? I'm like, well, I want 4 actually. but you know what? He found it and we held out for it. And I think that's a lot. It's hard to do that. It's hard to, when you've got something that when you can make it work, sometimes it's hard to hold out for that thing that's going to be really simple, really targeted, exactly what it's supposed to do. Historically, we've always held out for good designs, even if it means we're late, even if it means, things don't go as smoothly as we want. And I think, to me, there's no other way to do it.
Yeah, it's so cool. Well, let's say hello to a couple people who are chiming in here. We got Alfred from Miami, Florida. We have Javier from the White Coast of Spain. Like I said, I love this. I love the fact that we get people from all over. Michael Guerrero from SoCal. Who else we got here? Reginald, Tom Riley from Central California. Got John. Hello, John. Aaron says hello, Luther and John. Peter says he uses your rod holders up in Alaska, and we're getting a ton of questions already, and this is awesome. And we'll get to the questions in a bit, so I may have to backtrack a little bit. But I had some questions that I wanted to throw out at you. First off, people want to find you guys. It is at yakattack.us. I believe yakattack.com works now, right?
Yes, it does. Finally.
Okay. But Yakattack US. I put this one up because that's what you guys are, right? It's keeping everything in America, which, putting guys to work in your community where you guys live. And that's, I think, like I said, it's kind of like how Wes Siegler is with Siegler Reels, putting guys to work where you live. And I really respect that. Has that been difficult, though, to keep it here, to not go to the cheap manufacturing?
I mean, it's one of those things that once you chart your course, I think one of the differentiators in companies and even individuals that are successful versus not is charting your course and then finding the good in it. You know what I mean? So we always try to turn whatever decisions we make philosophically, we try to turn that into some kind of an advantage. And I would say in a lot of ways, we've probably created more opportunity by keeping it here than we have, had disadvantages. The obvious disadvantage is cost. We see, we're in an industry that Made in the USA really resonates. And we see companies that market Made in the USA, but when you really dig down into it, well, it's Made in the USA except for this product, except for this, and it's just enough to kind of get the message across. Or it's Made in the USA when it's cheaper to do it here. But, maybe the springs and maybe some of these other side products might not exactly be made here. But, for us, it's part of the mission. Whenever you're in business, I think when you work as hard as we do, you've got to be doing it for something. And it's fun for us, I think, to try to figure out how do we have a competitive advantage while doing it sometimes the way that people say is more difficult or people think is more difficult. And the amount of talent that we've grown here in our own factory, the homegrown talent that we've got, no one can compete with it. I don't know of anyone in any industry that can be as agile with injection molding as we can. I mean, we can go from an idea to a finished part in 4 or 5 days if we need to for simple stuff. We actually did that recently for an OEM project. We went from the customer identified they needed it. They said, no, we can't do it because we don't have time. We don't want to delay the launch. And we said, this was like a Wednesday. We said, well, we can have a design to you by tomorrow, and we can shoot parts next Monday. They're like, that's not possible. We built a lot of molds. That's not possible. Like, oh, yes, it is. And we did it.
That's amazing.
So we've really found some ways to turn doing it the quote unquote hard way into a huge advantage. And I think it's one of the things that's given us the ability to do all these new products that we've done in the last year, to not only do new products, but to do new products that are truly unique. We had to scrap some tooling, man, and if you're waiting 10 weeks, 12 weeks for tooling to come from overseas and you've got all these, tens and, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in it, you can't make those kinds of decisions. So I'd say in so many ways, we've been able to take that Made in the USA philosophy, not only make it work for, I'll say our hearts, our mission, but also work for our business and give us a competitive advantage.
Right. And I think when we came out and visited you, and if anybody hasn't had the chance, we kind of did a how it's made thing, walked through the facility at Yakattack, and shows that, it's a small little operation, but you're putting people to work. And I think one of the cool stories was kind of the story behind like the Visi carbon poles and the flags being made and everything, and how you have like a sewing circle of people making these things,
Yeah.
It just stuff like that was pretty amazing. And like I said,
everything that's ever come out of Yakattack has come out of his room, come out of your son's room with his wife stamped up. I think every flag that's ever seen has come off one press from your house. To me, it's powerful. When talking to dealers and dealers, they're like, you must be sitting in a big building and somewhere in a big city. I mean, we're in a town of 300 people. I think I think we have 40 employees now that, we're a fixture in the community. And, a lot of these guys, there wasn't a lot of jobs, there wasn't a lot of opportunities. And now they're running, CNC machines, injection molding machines, and learning true, marketable skills that they can use down in their career. And that's powerful. And, just as rewarding as making, really solid, innovative kayak fishing products. It's growing people, it's really putting people through development of their personal knowledge and education of what they can do as a person. And it's huge, really, really, we talk about the new products and how rewarding that is, but I think sometimes it's the people,
right.
And I think, in the USA, I mean, it means many things to us. And, I think it really, really, to me, sits in the foundation of the core of the company, but it's the people we're investing in, and it's the people that got us to this point and got us to where we are in the industry. And it's something to be said for that, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if there's a harder working group. I mean, every time I try to get a hold of Luther, he's working and trying to break him away to come fishing with us sometimes. And I mean, heck, when we came to Virginia, I mean, the whole plan was to go fishing with Luther, and he was just too busy. Couldn't even break away to go fish for a day. And I mean, that shows the dedication to what you guys are doing over there. And I know you have your hands full and everything you have to do. And finally getting away on a vacation, I think that I'd love to see you actually doing that. Tom says, love how the Yakattack fits like a glove on my Jackson Cruise FD. Well, that's the thing, is everything works so well. And the new lock and load system on the rod holders is so innovative. And I mean, I love the thing. I started to use it on a couple shoots ago. I mean, you basically sent them to me right when they were being released. So I've had a chance to use them quite a bit and just, well, heck, I was there when you were still, doing 3D molding of the things. So later, 3D printing of the things. Yeah. So, being able to see that and see what all you guys have been doing. So we know a lot of your past products. Like I said, the Visi carbon pole is always on my kayak. But you guys going through some changes, and which has kind of forced you to come up with a lot of cool new stuff. So without further ado, why don't we show off some of the cool stuff that you have out now, some of the stuff that's being introduced now or recently, and maybe anything that you maybe have coming out in the near future. And I'll if you guys have something you want a bigger screen, I can give you the whole screen, so it might be a little easier for you guys to show it.
Yeah, if you want to do that, I think that'd work. And I don't know, kind of honestly, it feels like Christmas just because of, we've been working hard. Like you said, we've been putting a lot of work into it, and the Omegas was kind of just the first cycle of new stuff. That there's gonna be a lot of stuff this entire year coming out, so I'm excited about it for sure.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you the whole screen. You got it. Why don't you show us what is newest and latest, and just I'll ask questions. And
so this is the Omega rod holder. A lot of people have seen this. Basically, the rod holder portion, what makes it really cool, is it works really well with all different types of fishing gear. Works well with your spinning rods, bait casters, conventionals, and really, really well with fly rods as well, which something we're really proud of. Basically, you've got a locking collar, instantly rotates. It's not a start and stop collar, so you can turn it away from either side.
Your audio, hold on a second. Your audio is kind of breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you guys are a long way away from your mic or.
Maybe. Hang on. Is that any better, Jim?
Yes, much better.
Okay. So anyway, you've got the ability to put all your different types of fishing rods in here, including fly gear. You've got the rotating collar, so you can secure the rod once it's inside, or even secure the neck of a spinning reel, to get that little bit of extra security. So we just built you look at the geometry, it's kind of like a lot of shapes there, and that's a result of testing and printing and testing and printing and testing and printing. So we got it worked out to be what we thought was the best it could be. And then we molded it, and the next thing we did was a lot of destructive testing. We actually redid this mold, I think, twice, because we found little areas that we could make it a little bit stronger, a little bit better. And what we ended up with at the end, we were super happy with. So, we say Omega, it's the last rod holder you'll ever need. That's the kind of versatility we tried to build into it. But to me, what makes the thing really special is not just the rod holder, but it's the lock and load system that goes with it. And, I'm sure by now a lot of people have seen this, but basically what you've got is a trigger actuated system. So with the trigger open, drop it onto this little base. You've got slides on the outside and on the inside here. So you've got a lot of interaction, gives you a lot of strength. You drop it on and you click the lever close, and now that thing's completely secure. Because the track base is keyed into the track, it's also non-rotating. So you get that fish hit it on one side or the other, it's not going to loosen up or even over tighten on you. And then when you want to adjust it, you push the little button. You notice when I push the button, it's going to automatically cam up. It lifts up off the splines. Now you rotate it where you want and let it go, and it cams back down, and then you're secure again. So this positional adjustment is literally fractions of a second.
There's a lot of indexes there, right? So it's
very fine, high definition resolution on the indexing, absolutely. And then once we got it to this state, basically, we went through a number of mounting systems before we settled on this one. But even once we got it to this state, we're like, well, if somebody bumps this thing with their paddle, we're going to pop it open, and then it's going to fall off into the water. So if you look right down inside there, you'll see this little safety. And that's actually recessed a little bit. So when you want to remove it, you actually have to grab under that safety and pull it out with the lever, which makes it really hard to accidentally disengage. So that's the Omega rod holder and the lock and load mounting system.
Show them how the lock and load actually attaches to the track.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so what's really interesting here is that it's non-rotating, super strong, extremely secure, but it's still just hand tightened. So you just got a little rotating mushroom-looking piece here. We've got a T-bolt in the bottom, just like all of our T-bolt accessories and all the mini T-bolt accessories that we've inspired in the industry. And then that just slides right into the track. You tighten the little mushroom, just hand tight, just enough where it won't slide. And then that's it. That's ready to attach a rod holder, a depth finder, camera mount, whatever you want to do.
Right. So this is going to be kind of the base for many of your pieces of gear now for attaching to the kayak.
This is our mounting system.
It's amazing. It's so clean and so strong and so easy. So easy. With the advent of so much of your gear track all over so many kayaks now, it's pretty. Is that going to work with pretty much any gear track though? Yeah. We haven't seen any tracks that it doesn't work with. I mean, Feel Free has that extra wide track, but even on those boats, we've made an adapter that we've been selling for years that converts a regular T-bolt to work in it. So I think every kayak that's on any track, with the exception of the one that you need an adapter for, but even then you'll be able to use this.
Yeah, you'll start to see, I think, a lot more of the lock and load bits used, across the product line. And that's what we got a couple things here that are fresh, new, no one's seen them. And it kind of starts to show, how the lock and load is going to be used and what part of Yakattack it's going to, start to be the foundation of.
Right. So what else you got for us?
I guess to go along with the Omega that Luther talked about, right along with it was going to be the Omega Pro, which is just going to have a little bit longer of an extension, a little bit longer rod butts, or also whether you want to get it a little bit farther away from you or closer to you. But this one's been in the market for, I guess, since the beginning of the year, about early January. But new that no one's seen until this feed. But we're also going to do an 8-inch extension arm. So guys that are using, musky rods or, big, heavy offshore rods with a nice, really long rod butt that's going to typically get in the way, or a lot of pedal drive guys, like to have a little bit taller, closer to them. And it's going to give them the ability to really be able to work with it and really make it theirs. It's going to be a little bit, like Legos or Lincoln Logs. You're really going to be able to build on the Yakattack system to really cater to your fishing style and how you rig your boat.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I like about the Omega is the versatility of it. Like Luther was saying something about, your bait caster will fit in there, your spinning reel will fit in there, but also it can be used as straight up as a rod tube. And then also your fly reel. I was using it on our last trip, was using it for my fly rods. And the fly rod fits in there nice and secure, and you don't have to worry about losing anything. So I said super versatile, very impressive Very impressive setup. Edgar says, I want an Omega Pro.
And the fly rod, when you put the fly rod in and out, a lot of fly reel holders, they capture the reel. So you need to hold the reel with one hand, and you need to trip a bail or do something with the other hand. Here, you're just basically, dropping it in, laying the reel down with one hand, and you're secure. If you want to rotate the collar, you can, but you really don't even have to do that.
Hey, Gary here has a question. What's the best way to mount the new Omega rod holder on the H rail of a PA?
We've got an updated part. We've sold for Hobie, I guess, for about a year and a half, 2 years now, is going to be what they call the H-Rail Mighty Mount. It's going to be a little piece that we make that then they sell on their clamp. And we actually updated that about 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago. So it is configurable. It does work perfect with the lock and load system now.
If you have the existing Hobie H-Rail mount, what you can do is you can modify it to make it on the sides where these little holes here kind of interfere with that H-Rail Mighty mount. You could just kind of whittle that out so that they'll lock in there. And that's basically what we did with the updated one. Now it's got clearance for the two little tabs that give you the non-rotation. So not only is it going to work on your Hobie H-Rail mount, but now it's non-rotating completely. So it's even more secure.
Very cool. Very cool. So I know you had some other stuff you were kind of giving me a sneak peek at before we started this.
Yeah, so kind of what Luther's got in his hands is, it definitely it's a unique mount for us. The way that it looks, the way that it works, the way that it overall the appearance and feel. It kind of has some. I mean, you guys are the first to ever see this, essentially, but it's square and rectangular. And it might look a little familiar, but it's based off the same 4-hole pattern that Scotty, Ram, Cannon, anyone else that those guys have used the same hole pattern for years and years and years. So we wanted to give you the opportunity that whether you bought a boat that came with one stock and has 4 holes, they're already threaded threaded inserts in the boat. And you don't want to use that interface, or you want some more options to use something that's track mounted, or whether you hard mounted, a different mount like that for your kayak years ago, and you want to refresh it and give yourself the ability to put a gear track accessory on there. It's just a plug and play. It's going to fit perfect and works really, really tremendous with the lock and load system. So it's going to be a unique mount. We're calling the Mighty Mount Switch. So if you want to switch it up, you got an option to do it.
I mean, the idea there is that deck mounts have been around for a long time, but they're bulky, and one of the reasons people have really migrated over to track systems is because when you take all the accessories off, you've got something you can car top, you've got something that's not going to hang up on things. You can really configure it. You're not just stuck with, really you're not even stuck with any brand's accessories anymore because there's so many different things that fits them. So the idea about the Mighty Mount Switch, as John said, same hole pattern, you can plug it in, but it'll essentially take an older platform and modernize it, kind of bring it up to date with where things are today. And then, super high strength. I mean, we made this similar material than what we used for our Mighty Mount XL, which we've been really, really happy with. But the other cool thing is you've got these discrete positions. So you can use this 2 ways, and this is something that we've actually filed a patent on. Quite a few people out there that need to hear that. So we've got the mount, we've got a track. You can slide it back and forth just like you might any other thing. But what's really cool, you can also rotate the track base 90 degrees, and now you've got this discrete mounting position. So now you've got, this doesn't slide at all fore and aft. It's completely locked in.
Wow.
You can move it between the 3 positions, but in each position, it's completely secure. Kind of a Picatinny style that you might see on, military weapons, where you've got the rail system and it's got the ability to put a crossbolt from sliding back and forth. So, kind of a Yakattack system, if you will.
Right.
But again, the product's called the Mighty Mount Switch. It's like John said, you can just kind of switch it up a little bit.
Well, that's super cool. Now, you mentioned something about, making them good and strong. Now, and I know that we've had some conversations about other products in the past that maybe weren't so strong. The materials were a little brittle. Not your products, somebody else's.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you've addressed anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we did the Omega, that was one of the things we wanted to be really careful of. I remember being on shoots with you. We bumped into a boat with a rod holder and lost some stuff. So I've definitely seen that. But the materials that we're using, it's all impact modified, really, really high-end polymers. Cost a little bit more money, but it's the stuff that you want for these kinds of applications. And we actually put this thing in a vise and put a long bar, and we broke it. And we broke everything on the market, every rod holder we could get our hands on, every competitive rod holder we could get our hands on. There's one that's comparable to the Omega, and everything else isn't close. So it's as strong as of a rod holder that's ever been put onto a kayak. And then when we went with the first off with the Mighty Mount XL, it was the same thing. The Mighty Mount XL is not that far off full strength wise than an aluminum track. I mean, it's extremely strong. It's very difficult to get it to fail. It really comes down to how well you've got it mounted to the kayak. And the Mighty Mount Switch is even heavier duty because it's thicker. It's got a bigger footprint. So yeah, it's all stuff that's, it's as good or better than the tried and true stuff that's on the market today, including some of our stuff that's on the market today.
Right. And this is where that, like I talked about at the beginning, the fact that you guys are not just manufacturers, you're end users. You use this stuff, so it makes that big of a difference. You want it to work for you, and in the long run, that's good for the consumer.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. And we also want it to work for. I mean, one thing that we're very conscious of is that the kayak fishing industry, number one, has really carved out a place for us. The kayak fishing industry has resonated with, a bunch of newcomers. A few years ago, we were anyway, coming to the sport, really trying, coming from within the sport, really trying to make something happen. We haven't always had the capabilities that we have today. Our products haven't always been as sophisticated as they are today. But the industry has always just almost paved the way for us and given us a lot of opportunity. And over the years, the expectation of Yakattack has gotten higher and higher and higher. And we lose a lot of sleep over that. I mean, when people have a lot of faith in a brand or a company and that the next product that you put out and let them down, you're really, really careful about what you put out. It's the reason that the Omega rod holder was late. I mean, we were 2-3 months late on that because the system we took to ICAST, which probably by a lot of standards would have been okay, we knew it wasn't Yakattack okay. We knew it wouldn't meet the expectations our customers would have of us. So, a desire to not let down the people who sometimes we feel like put us on an even higher pedestal than we deserve is a very highly motivating thing. So that's the other part of it, is not wanting to let the people down who have given us the opportunity.
That's awesome. Hey, Jeff has a question. Does the Switch need a flat hull area?
Yeah, you want something that's about as flat as the footprint there. So if your standard deck mounts will fit, this will fit. As long as the 4 holes are flat, if it was dished or something like that in the middle, that would be okay. But, the idea is anywhere you could put a deck mount, you could put it.
Right. And like you said, I've got some old kayaks that have old, for instance, Scotty bases that were those ones that you had to punch in and then, or yank up and twist and then pull out. And they were really hard to work with. So anybody who has that to swap out to something like this with the lock and load system, that would be a huge upgrade.
Yeah. And a lot of even in your inflatable market, there's a lot of these PVC patches that they glue down that's got the 4-threaded inserts in it that fit that same interface. So this would replace that as well. I know for years Jackson made, and they may still do it, they made boats that have 4-threaded inserts where a deck mount could go. So now you can yank those off. You can put a Mighty Mount switch on there, and now you're not constrained to using just one type of accessory there. You've got the whole market's open to you.
Right. That's fantastic. What else you got for us, John?
So kind of going off the same kind of lock and load theme, it's been one that we've had a big hole for the past couple months, but people have been really wanting, and no one's seen this at all. But going with our fish finder mounts, so having a fish finder mount that's based off that lock and load system is key. So that's going to be seen in the whole fish finder mount. So we've got this one that works with your big Ray Marines, big Garmins, your big Lowrances that are going to feature kind of your gimbal arm, your gimbal bracket on it. This is going to be a simple plug-and-play system that makes it nice and easy on the lock and load system. But right along with it, we've got one that's going to work with the entire Helix family. Your Humminbird Helix, doesn't matter what size, it's going to work. One single product, making it easy on our dealers. And then another one that's going to be circular that works with your smaller, your new Ray Marine Dragonflies, also your old ones as well, or your smaller Garmin units are going to work right off this too. So having that ability to really truly utilize the lock and load system in just about every aspect of your kayak is where we're headed and where we're going. So that's going to be, and we're not far away. And with what Luther was saying, I mean, this one right here in my hand is 3D printed, but as of next week, we're going to be ready to rock. So we'll be shooting out some test parts and doing some final testing, and then it'll hit the market shortly after. So, all these fish finder mounts pretty close to coming to the market. So you guys are the first to see it. So we've got all these coming very, very soon from Yakattack. So keep your eyes peeled for sure with that.
And especially the guys with the bigger displays. One thing that we know people really like, one of the complaints we've gotten over the years, because we've sold fish finder mounts for these bigger units previously, and one of the complaints that we've gotten fairly frequently is over time and choppy conditions or whatever, these things can kind of sag down.
This was going to be my question.
Yeah, no, so we've got the spline interface on the connections, high resolution. You've got a lot of positions, but you're never going to have to worry about them flipping down over time.
How's the flex?
Oh, there's nothing.
It's very, very little flex.
There's absolutely nothing there. I mean, it's super, super rigid and strong. So it's a beefy unit that, when we made the 8-inch arm last week, I mean, we tried to break it and couldn't. We put so much force behind it and couldn't get it to break that, even with that longer leverage, we weren't able to break it. So, I mean, it's saying something for the geometry behind some of the products and the reinforcement that it's put into the shapes and the body lines of the product itself.
Okay, so my question would be at this point now, at the lock and load. So let's say you've got a heavier unit, like I have an Axiom. It's fairly heavy. And then I put an arm out so it's extended out. Would I have to be concerned about the size of the base that I have that lock and load in? You know what I mean?
Well, if you put it on a 4-inch track with 4 self-threading screws, that might be questionable depending on how much leverage you've got out there and how much that unit weighs. As far as the lock and load base itself, definitely not. As far as the connection to the boat, you're going to want that to be, just like previously, you're going to want that to be strong enough for whatever you're throwing at it. The good news about the lock and load system is it's strong enough to withstand anything that happens on the business end of it. The bad news, it can also be stronger than the connected end of it. So you'll definitely want to make sure you've got a good, nice, strong attachment to the boat.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, just like anything else. I mean, you can't have a big, heavy thing, going down to something where you're getting so many pounds per square inch into a really small area. Then you're just asking for trouble. But
but the good news is, like I said, from the track-mounted lock and load base all the way through the business end of this thing, you're going to have a hard time throwing anything at it on a kayak that it can't handle.
That's awesome. What was this? John said it's not out yet. That's the first that's been shown. I think he might have been responding to another question. Some of these items, when will people be seeing these available in shops like after ICAST, or we're even closer than that?
I think it's around the same time frame. And as far as the fish finder mounts, probably 3 weeks. 3 weeks a month, I'd say. And they're pretty much most of them ready to rock, just some final testing. And other than that, I mean, we're like what Luther was saying, that, I mean, we are, mold makers in the molding industry look at us like we are crazy, that normal companies don't have that capability of, doing all their own design work, all their own tooling, and then all their own mold making, that if we need to react, we react, and it's not really us reacting. I mean, we're driving the industry and driving the sport as far as what we're doing and what we're making, but we're quick to satisfy our dealers and consumers of the kayak fishing community. So, it's exciting to be a part of it, and exciting to me, exciting to see the phase of Yakattack really, really, truly coming to fruition and, paving the way in accessories.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that happened in the last year is
You're breaking up a little bit there, Luther.
One of the things that happened in the last year, there's a difference in what we're just products that we're selling, because we used to distribute products that we don't distribute now. What's really good about that is it puts us, number one, it puts us in control of the design. It puts us in control of the materials. It also gives us the ability that if the product doesn't quite do what we want it to do, we can just fix it. We can just change it. We can move it forward, just like you would in when you go out on your boat. If something's on the boat's not working the way you want it to, you might go change the way it's rigged or modify it, and then the next time you go out, it's that much better. That's how we view the products. Is we don't want to put anything out on the market that isn't ready. And usually when we have delays, it's actually not from being able to get parts out of the mold. It's from being able to satisfy our internal requirements of what we expect to come out of that mold. Sometimes it works. It kind of works in 3D printing. You're like, well, but 3D prints are not that accurate, so it should work. But you don't get a feel for it sometimes really until it comes out of production tooling. And that's the point at which we really make our final decision. Usually most companies would be so committed by that point financially that they couldn't switch gears. But, we always do the testing. We always do the testing after the parts are molded, and we're not afraid to go back and scrap some tooling and start over if we need to, if we feel like there's an improvement out there that should be made.
Well, yeah, and I totally get that, because, back in the day, like, for instance, working with Ocean Kayak, under Johnson Outdoors, if there was an issue, and the manufacturing and design process back then was a little more primitive, the plugs and everything we were working with, weren't quite as dialed in, and you kind of had to kind of go with it, hoping that everything was right. And then the problem was that if there was an issue, if something wasn't quite right, it's like, okay, well, we can fix that after we sell 10,000 boats. This mold needs to amortize over this, And so working with you guys, and again, I bring up Wes Siegler again, working with him, working with companies like this that can react quickly, because, hey, things do sometimes not get quite right. And being able, no matter how much testing you do, you put it out on the market and you get 100 guys now beating the hell out of your stuff.
In different conditions.
Yes. And then being with you guys and you just saying, oh, okay, well, we can fix that, and like I said, and Wes is the same way. And it just makes it such a joy to work with a company like this that can appreciate it and can understand what we're saying. And you're not just looking at a numbers thing, as you guys want to make it right, because it's something you would use.
I think, and just in general, that mindset of, if it's not right, we're not selling it, I think really shows in our new transducer arm. This is one that we've been talking about since I cast it last year, and we kind of had that light bulb moment of big thing. We wanted to integrate it with our lock and load system. So the base of it, on the new what we're calling a switchblade, we wanted it where it was one simple piece. It was one simple piece that once it's on the track, it truly, really, really easily integrates into the lock and load system, so you can have your fish finder display right with your transducer arm. This one's kind of hard to show on just a camera, but then you've got your transducer going all the way down the bottom on some simple joints and arms right there that are going to give you a little bit of movement if you want it to get around the shape of your boat. But to me, the secret sauce was getting the part together up here. Guys are really, really going to want to have this lock and load base integrated with their switchblade, just to make it really a simple, compact system. And we were full-blown tooling, promised dealers, hey, we got this and ready to go. And we had that moment, we hit that moment where we were all in the room talking, and we were like, well, why don't we do this? And we did it. And there's one that we definitely filled up the recycling bin full of aluminum with some of the tools, but so be it. So it's one that, the cost of remaking a tool, I think, is so less than something out there in the marketplace that the consumers aren't happy with and we're not happy with. So, something like this on the new, we'll call them the switchblade transducer arm, it was key. Really, really, that one thing I think that really shows the character and the type of brains and the type of people and the type of business the Yakattack really is we want to make the right products and put out the right stuff for the guys out there that really need it, you know.
Right. Well, I'm going to throw the question out there from Kieran here because we knew it was coming. Camera mounts. Anything on? I know it's something we've talked about. Is there something working in the back of your guys' ever working brains that it might be coming anytime soon?
Yes. Soon is relative. I mean, I wouldn't expect to see a camera mount in the next 4 weeks, but I'd be surprised if we're not able to show something by show season. And then, you know, after that, question of how long it takes us to dial it in and get it exactly like we want it. But yeah, I would expect not only to see some camera mounts, but I would expect to see camera mounts that are better than anything we've ever built, and maybe better than anything the industry's ever seen. That's where we're setting the bar. We've identified the weaknesses of the products that we've made ourselves and the other products on the market, and the intention is to address all of those with this new line of camera mount. So yeah, you definitely expect to see them. I'd be patient. I'd be waiting for them because they'll be worth waiting for.
Can I expect maybe these to work again with the lock and load system?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a versatile mount. It would be cool to see that tied in. But of course, like you said, you got to make it make sense.
Yeah, it has to make sense. And we've got some ideas that are proven out. We've got some ideas that are not yet proven out that are going to really kind of pave the way. At the end, we want it to be in a direction that, you know, we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves where it works really great here, but it doesn't work so great there. We've got a couple of key, again, us here at Yakattack, designing products is all about completing the consumer experience. You know, and it's, you know, yeah, you want things that you can market features and do this and do that, but until it gets in the hands of a consumer, they use it and they say, wow, this is the best whatever gadget I've ever owned, we haven't really done our job. So we want to make sure that whatever it does, it completes that experience the right way. And there's still a little bit of product definition to be done to prove things out, to figure out the exact route to go, but we're getting pretty close.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be worth waiting for. and we know it will. It's just like everything else. It's like I said, you guys are solving problems. And that's the impressive thing. And it's always been that way. I mean, just from the initial solving the problem with the original Visi carbon pole, you know, it is still the go-to light setup. I mean, it's so easy for me to travel with that thing. And if anybody doesn't think that thing makes a difference on the water, I can tell you right now, it makes a huge difference on spotting another guy out on the water. That flag makes it so much easier to see. And anybody who's out paddling at night without one or in the fog without one is just being foolish. You know, I really believe that. We love having on them. The only thing I don't like about it is when it's really windy and have to listen to that thing flap. Or those times when it changes direction and flaps over to my rod and gets the hook stuck in it. Yeah. Which I'm sure has happened to all of us.
Yeah, sometimes a little trick that a lot of people don't know that works really well. In the daytime, if that flag's flapping around too much, you can take the flag off, open the Velcro, drop the flag over top of the light and over the light and reseal the Velcro around the mast, and you still have this orange footprint up there. It'll kind of turn this way a little bit as opposed to flapping, but it cuts down on the wind drag quite a bit. It definitely cuts down on the flapping, and it definitely cuts down on the ability, for example, to get hung in a hook. And then when you're out at night, like for me, one of the disadvantages is there's some areas that we fish where we're actually sight casting at night because we're fishing under some lights. You're up under a bridge. You're not so much worried about, you know, a boat running over you between pilings. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you still want your buddies to be able to see. You still want to be visible. But we'll actually take and do the same thing, but leave the light on. Because when you're sight casting, a lot of times, depending on how your boat's turned, that light will give you night blind.
Right.
But by putting the flag right over top of the light, it gives you a nice soft glow. It doesn't blind you. It doesn't kill your night vision. So that's a couple of tricks that you might want to try.
That's a great idea. It's very similar to using the red lens on your headlight. So it's not crushing that night vision. I've never thought about that. That's a great idea. That's why you guys are the designers and thinkers, and I just use stuff.
And it's one thing that I found out every tournament or every Visi carbon that a lot of people are like, I never knew that the unit does go right in the flag. So I make sure that it's one that KBF a couple months ago. There was probably 10 guys at the bottom that were like, dude, I had no idea. So,
well, see, the thing is, I always knew that, and I fold the whole thing up and then wrap the flag around it, and take the bungee cord and then loop it around and then just do that because I'm lazy.
time is money, and then the time that you got, you need to be fishing. So, make it quick. Yeah.
Martin Toomey says he won't go on the water without his Visi carbon. And that was the first product, man. It's very, very cool that it's come such a long way. Kieran says you'll wait for them before deciding on a setup. I know he's talking about your camera mount. Edgar said sweet. Martin said badass. Zach says the speed at which the products go from an idea to finished product is rad, all while keeping quality high. And that's the key is you can be fast, but not too fast that you're putting out an inferior product, right?
That's exactly right, John. And some of the hardest decisions we had to make.
I'm losing you again. Your audio kind of goes in and out when you guys get too far away from that thing.
I think we might have something blocking here too. But yeah, I mean, some of the hardest decisions we've made is to slow down when we really want to get the product out on the market. We know people are waiting for it, but again, sometimes you do have to slow down and take a step back and get it right. And then there's other things that it's like bam, 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 and it's out there. But I think in either case, for us, what's a time-consuming launch that we feel like really dragged out is probably about average. It kind of works out.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure, working on multiple products at one time and having your brain have to switch gears from one thing to another can be a little bit tough. And then, we're waking up in the middle of the night and going, oh, that's what it is. That's what I needed on that item. I'm sure you've had a number of those. Although I don't know about waking up in the middle of the night, because even in the middle of the night, you seem to be at work.
It's funny, that's the reputation. These days, there's somebody out working me here every single day. And it used to be the opposite. It used to be I was always the last one here, sometimes hours and hours after the last person. But there's been more than once that I've come back into town from traveling and, pull up with my trailer to drop it off or whatever, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we've got an engineer, his truck is sitting there and there's one little light burning where the mill is that we make our mold. And it doesn't even surprise me, because there's something that he needed to get done that he's in here doing. And that's just, Yakattack is the business, it's a line of products, but it truly is a group of people that have a common mission, a common vision, and a common goal. And a lot of people say, oh, you guys work too hard. When do you enjoy life? Brother, we are enjoying life. Work. Tell me what's more satisfying than serving a community like this in a sport like this, doing things that we can be proud of, doing it in a way that we can be proud of it. I mean, I don't know how much better it really gets.
Yeah, and speaking about giving back, and not just to the community, you guys just had your big old tournament, which just seems to just like blow out every year. You guys sell that thing out every year, and you're giving back, and that. But you guys deal with weather every year, but people seem to have a great time no matter what, right? How did the tournament go this year?
It's good. I mean, I heard it from multiple guys, and it's kind of fun to hear about. I heard it while I was at the tournament. I've seen it on social media. I've seen it in some messages personally, but I don't know. There are a bunch of guys where I was the best one yet. 10th year we did it, and everyone. I felt like I walked into it probably being the most underprepared I've been in a long time. But I guess that's just from experience that I think we've got it down to a science. And even with with your weather when you came and we fished in Virginia, I guess about a year ago or so, It's spring. It's spring in Virginia. It's going to pop up. And I think we probably had the most rain that at least I've seen. That this is my fourth tournament that I've ran. I don't know about the early days. I know some of the early days in the field were just a torrential monsoon, but it flooded. The Farmville, it flooded. The Appomattox River got so high that it became super unsafe, and so they had to put some streets down. And with that much rain, and guys are still. I don't think one person complained about the rain, and I think that it's just the understanding that we're there to fish, but that's definitely the secondary nature of the event. That it's key focus is to raise money for Heroes in the Water and Project Healing Waters, and it's about seeing friends you don't see, but once a year, and sitting around eating some good home cooked smoked food. And
that's what I was going to say. I think a lot of people don't play food. I've seen the spread. I see the spread you guys put out.
Yeah, it's really unique, and like John said, it was one of the least comfortable tournaments from a rain standpoint. But it's funny, the rain drives everybody into the building and under the tents, and where they're really even hanging out that much more. And I think that's what people come for. They come for the food and just the camaraderie, the community that's there, and the attitude of the whole thing. You don't win anything. You can win stuff with raffles, but the competition is it's about fishing together. It's about having a good time. I say you don't win anything. You can get the place prizes are artwork that Rob Choi does. They're really nice prizes.
Oh, that's sweet.
But the point is the things that traditionally drive competition don't have a lot of focus on them. What we put all the focus on is, our employees and friends and family volunteer their time. A lot of the attendees volunteer their time. We have guys that every single year pay the entry fee. They don't even fish. They come in and they come in 2 days early. What can we do to start helping with meat prep? And then they stand by the grill and make sure everybody's served. Every year right before we eat, I try to thank all the volunteers, and I can't even ask them to stand up because they're back in the kitchen, trying to get all the food ready for everybody while everyone's having a good time. And these are guys that paid an entry fee to do that.
Wow.
So the attitude of service there is just it's something you truly have to experience to appreciate. We had people even this year say, well, I've always heard about it, but now I understand it. It's an event unlike any other. And I think this year we sold out 175 spots in 2 hours. We're expecting next year it's going to go in probably 15 minutes.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, and the final numbers aren't in yet, but last year we raised, I think we gave, I think it was 20,000 to Heroes in the Water, and then the local chapter of Heroes Waters, I think that they wanted indicated, I think it was $1,000 or $2,500, and and this year, we haven't really said anything about it, but one of Jackson's old employees and one of our Yakattack team members, Jonathan Meyer, who was injured in carjacking a couple weeks back, we did one of the boats for him. So one of those boats went specifically for raising funds for him. So
that is very, very cool.
Haven't even told anyone about that wasn't at the tournament, and I was going to reach out to his mom, sometime this week or over the weekend and just touch base. And that's what it's about. It really, it's one of those that I think most of the guys, it's his daughters sing the national anthem at the beginning of it, and
wow,
there's. I think most of those people they get that fuzzy feeling and that kind of emotional feeling from it's I guess the directions. It's our veterans, and we're raising money to support our people.
Well, and I'll thank you right out, and thank you for everybody that I can. I don't know that I've ever heard you say no to anybody who was looking for support, and I know you get hit up all the time, and you have to say no sometimes, but. You guys have been so generous with your time and your products and your support of every tournament that was like a charity type thing. The tournaments that were trying to give back. You guys have always been there. And, when I used to do our tournament for, 12 years, you guys were always there when we needed you. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact you guys are doing that. Guys, this hour has flown by. Luther, I really appreciate you coming in. I knew you were on a really tight schedule, getting ready to go on your trip. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Anything else you wanted to throw up before we sign off here? Anything else you wanted to tell us about?
Yeah, I guess I've got one more product that it's just something kind of, I guess, completely different from us. I mean, still based off the lock and load system, but for all you keto guys, we wanted to be able to have a simple little mount that's going to be based off that lock and load base, but give you the option to really truly have something that's going to work, something that's going to be easy, and be able to really give you that platform and that system of the lock and load base to truly utilize all over your kayaks. So
something that's secure.
A lot of cool stuff.
Something that's secure, because I've got a Torqeedo, and the solution I was using, I can't tell you how many times I would knock that off the boat because it was just kind of being held there, not very great. So, guys, I can't thank you enough, as always, for joining me. Whenever you have something new and you want to share with us, of course, please let me know, and we'll get you back on here. And we'll probably do a little live thing at ICAST if you've got anything new there. Of course, if anybody wants you guys stuff at yakattack.us or yakattack.com. Thanks again so much, and thanks so much for supporting my show for all these years. I really appreciate it. Luther, have a great vacation, man. You deserve it.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Take care. Everybody else, thanks again for joining us. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate all the comments. The guys have told me, and I didn't really say anything about it, but we are going to have some swag to be given away, some gear from Yakattack. Maybe I can throw John back up in there. Hey, John, you still hear me? Hey, John, I put you back up there. We had talked about maybe a little giveaway here. Do you got any ideas on that?
I guess we completely forgot about the giveaway. But, that commented during the show, we're going to do a $150 gift card that Tim's going to randomly pick at the show, and I'll be in touch, and we'll shoot you a code. And we didn't want to do any specific gear, not everyone needs an Omega or a fish finder mount or something like that, but we wanted to give you the opportunity to get what you need.
Could you repeat it one more time? Because you did kind of break up when you said what it was going to be.
Yeah, we're going to do a $150 gift card.
Wow. For one of our participants, that is freaking awesome, dude. I really appreciate that. So I will randomly select somebody from this. We use a randomizer, and I will pick somebody. Then I will forward over their contact information once they get it to me. John, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jim. Have a good evening. See you next time.
Take care. Okay, so, wow, how generous is that? $150 gift card for one of our viewers. I will put everybody who participated into a randomizer and pick that, and then I will let you guys know a little bit later who that winner is. Support the companies that help support us and do things like this for us. These guys make some great products, and I really appreciate that. Again, a new episode of the Extreme Kayak Fishing Challenge is tomorrow on the Sportsman's Channel at 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you don't get WFN, but you get the Sportsman's Channel, check it out over there. And again, remember the show is brought to you by Ballast Point Brewing Company. We always appreciate their beer support. But remember, we're drinking at home, not on the water. So, guys, remember, if you're going out on the water, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, you take care. Actually, next time is Steve Tagami from Mustad will be here with me next Friday. So I hope we'll see you there. Take care. Well, I hope you can see what a great company Yakattack is, the wonderful people that work there, and why we really enjoy working with them. If you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments below. And of course, if you want to be a part of these live shows, make sure you join us on our Facebook page, the Kayak Fishing Show with Jim Sammons, every Friday, and you might have a chance to win some cool gear from our sponsors. We'll see you there.